Hare Krishna.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Good morning, America. Goa, Edameda, Europe. Dobar dan. Goedemiddag. Good afternoon. Welcome to Balaram Jayanti 2020. We are broadcasting live from Berlin, and we are very honored to have His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami as our guest. He will be speaking about Balaram Jayanti. And yeah, you have just had a darshan of our deities, and I can also give you a darshan of the devotees here, Nika Shavanti, and all the others in the temple room here behind us. So, yeah, what am I supposed to say? Nothing else. So if you have questions, you can type them in the chat box or wait until the question time comes, and then you can probably just unmute yourself, or yeah, we will deal with the questions then. So without any further ado, I will hand over to His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'm very happy to be with you all on this this appearance day of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram's mercy is with us, especially on his appearance day. Lord Balaram is especially present, and in that way, our good fortune is increasing many times. I'm thinking to in the beginning of the Shrimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, it is said, Yados Chadharma Shilasya Nitaram Munisattama Tatram Sena Vatirna Sya Vishnur Viryani Samsana. O best of Munis, you have also described the descendants of Yadu, who were very pious and strictly adherent to religious principles. Now, if you will, kindly describe the wonderful, glorious activities of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, who appeared in that Yadu dynasty with Baladev, his plenary expansion. So we remember how the earth was overburdened, and how the earth went before Lord Brahma to complain about the weight of so many kshatriyas, so many kings who were not at all devotees of the Lord. And as such, we remember that Lord Brahma was very much touched by Bhumi, who appeared in the form of a cow. Lord Brahma, when he saw how Bhumi was so much aggrieved, he went with Bhumi, along with all the demigods, to the ocean of milk. And then a message came from Lord Vishnu, who was lying on the ocean of milk. And Lord Vishnu instructed all the demigods to appear in the Yadu dynasty, and that soon he himself would appear on earth, along with his plenary expansion, Lord Baladev. So Lord Balaram, the plenary expansion of the Lord, appeared in this world before Lord Krishna appeared. Balaram, he appeared in the womb of Devaki. He appeared there as the seventh son of Devaki, and it was a fearsome moment because Kamsa had already killed the 6 previous children of Devaki. So naturally, Devaki was in great anxiety throughout the pregnancy, and she was expecting the worst. But then somehow or other, Yogamaya became involved and made a special arrangement for the Supreme Lord and transferred Lord Balaram from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. And in this way, it appeared that Devaki had a miscarriage. And in this way, Balaram is known as Sankarshan, or Sankarshan is he who has been attracted to two wombs, not to one like all of us, but he was first in the womb of Devaki and then in the womb of Rohini. So Rohini, the mother of Balaram, stayed in Mathura for some time, but then the situation became very problematic because, after all, Vasudeva and Devaki had been imprisoned. Kamsa was very concerned because Kamsa had been told that the eighth pregnancy of Devaki would be the cause of his death. So Vasudeva and both Devaki then were imprisoned. But Vasudeva had more wives, not only this wife, Devaki, but he had more, he had 14 wives. So Rohini, another one, she was also pregnant. And therefore, after Krishna, after his birth, Krishna had been saved and Krishna had been brought, but he was worried about the other child. The other child. So although Balaram by then was born, and still he was worried that Kamsa might do something. So he then sent also Rohini to Vrindavan along with Balaram. And in this way, Krishna and Balaram grew up together in Vrindavan, and Balaram counts as the elder brother. Some might say he was a cousin, not really a full brother, but they don't know that Balaram actually is a full brother, because after all, Balaram appeared in the womb of Devaki first, and therefore Balaram is the elder brother, and Krishna and Balaram are two transcendental brothers. So when Balaram was in Devaki's womb, then the demigods, they offered their prayers to Balaram. Dischamba te kuksi gata para puman, amsena suksat bhagavan pavaya naha, mabhut bayam bojapater mumursor, gopta yadunan bhavita tavat majaha. O Mother Devaki, by your great fortune and ours, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, with all his plenary portions, such as Baladev, is now within your womb. Therefore you need not fear Kamsa, who's decided to be killed by the Lord. Your eternal son, Krishna, will be the protector of the entire Yadu dynasty. Following the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya transferred Baladev, Sankarsan, the seventh child of Devaki, from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Because Sankarsan appears in order to increase love of Krishna, he is known as Ram, one who may take auspicious strength from him to become the devotee of the Lord, and therefore he is also known as Balabhadra, or the giver of auspicious strength, Balabhadra. So in this way, Balaram, Bala means strength, and Ram also means happiness. Or in this way, Balaram, who is is trying to increase the love of Krishna. He's known as Ram. So Balaram. Please tell me, well, whether the original personalities of Godhead, who incarnated themselves at the request of Brahma, who was born out of the lotus flower from the Lord, and who have increased the prosperity of the world by elevating everyone, are doing well in the house of Surasena. Purport. Lord Krishna and Balaram are not two different personalities of Godhead. God is one without a second, but he expands himself in many forms without their being separated from one another. They're all plenary expansions. The immediate expansion of Lord Krishna is Baladev, and Brahma, born from the lotus flower from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, is an expansion of Baladev. This indicates that Krishna and Baladev are not subjected to the regulations of the universe. On the contrary, the whole universe is under their subjugation. They appear at the request of Brahma to liberate the burden of the world, and they relieve the world by many superhuman activities so that everyone became happy and prosperous. Without the grace of the Lord, no one can become happy and prosperous, because the happiness of the family of the Lord's devotees depends on the happiness of the Lord. So, therefore, Vidura first of all inquired about the well-being of the Lord. This is from Shrimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 1, Text 26. So, we are in this way hearing about how Lord Brahma requested Krishna and Balaram to appear. And it was by his prayer that the Supreme Personalities of Godhead appeared. And particularly to bring auspiciousness to the entire universe. When Krishna and Balaram appeared within this universe, then everything was transformed. Everything became most auspicious, and suddenly, it is said that under Kamsa, the Brahminical class had been very much oppressed and felt very, very much checked and oppressed. But suddenly, at the appearance of Krishna and Balaram, everything had changed. Now the entire atmosphere became auspicious, and devotees were feeling suddenly very peaceful. Suddenly everyone felt like they could peacefully worship, although usually they were in too much anxiety to do so. That is the nature of Lord Balaram. In the 7th canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, there is Gyanasim Achyutabala. Gyanasim is Asim is the sword. So Gyana Asim, or the sword of knowledge. Krishna is the sword of knowledge. It is by Krishna's mercy that we can cut through layers of ignorance and have transcendental knowledge. Gyanasim. So one needs to take the transcendental sword of knowledge. And so one has to penetrate into the transcendental knowledge, the instructions of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, in Shrimad Bhagavatam, and armed with that knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Shrimad Bhagavatam, we can go forward and we can cut. We can cut the knot in the heart, the karma granthi, the knot of karma within the heart. But to get the strength to actually take advantage of transcendental knowledge, we need to somehow or other get strength from Lord Balaram. So in spiritual life, we are not alone. In spiritual life, we are not the doers, right? On the material plane, one might say, prakrite kriyamanani gunakarmani sarvasa ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. On the material plane, one might say that we think ourselves the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by the modes of material nature. Then when we take up spiritual life, we rise above these modes of material nature. But yet, still, we are not just the doers. We are only able to do by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because Balaram is pleased, are we able to function? If Balaram is not pleased, then it will become very difficult, very, very difficult to go forward. So yesterday, I did refer to Lord Balaram being in Vrindavan on the altar as Krishna and Balaram. And how Srila Prabhupada would say that one can, if one has any difficulty or any problem, just go before Lord Balaram and present the problem to Balaram and just tell him, and then leave it up to him for a solution. So we can do that also while we are here. Krishna and Balaram are the deities for the whole world. They are the deities for all of us, and we depend on them. Krishna and Balaram are none other than Gornitai. Vrajendra Nanyan Ye Sachi Sutta Halase Balaram Gornitai, says Narottam Das Thakur, that Krishna is Vrajendra Nandan. He is now appeared as Chaitanya, and Balaram has become Nityananda. So we depend on that mercy. So Srila Prabhupada says, significant in this verse are the words Gyanasim Achuttabala. Gyanasim, the sword of knowledge, is given by Krishna. And when one serves the Guru in Krishna in order to hold the sword of Krishna's instructions, Balaram gives one strength. Balaram is Nityananda. Vrajendanandanye Sachi Sutta Halase, Balaram Alanitai. This Balaram comes with Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and both of them are so merciful that in this age of Kali, one may very easily take shelter of their lotus feet. They came especially to deliver the fallen souls of this age. Papitapi yatachila harinama udarila. Their weapon is Sankirtan, Harinam. Thus one should accept the sword of knowledge from Krishna and be strong with the mercy of Balaram. We're therefore worshipping Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan. In the Mundaka Upanishad 3-4 it is said, Nayamatma balahinena labhya nacha pramada tapasu vapyalingat ete upayer yatate yastu vidvams tasyaiva atma visate brahmadama. One cannot attain the goal of life without the mercy of Balaram. Sri Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, Nitaya karuna habe vraja radha krishna pava. When one receives the mercy of Balaram, Nityananda, one can attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna very easily. So there are many invisible personalities who are part of our spiritual life. We may not perceive it directly. We may not be aware of it, but it is a fact that the help of Lord Balaram is required. The spiritual master is acting as an agent, as an assistant to Lord Balaram, because the spiritual master is meant to be the servant of Krishna. And Balaram is the original servant of Krishna. And Balaram, as the original servant of Krishna, is making all the arrangements for Krishna to be comfortable in all respects, and that all his desires are fulfilled for performing various pastimes. This morning we were reading from the Garga Samhita, and it was a nice quote, and I'll just mention it one more time. Basically, in the Garga Samhita, it was described that when Krishna and Balaram stood on the chariot of Akrura and were ready to leave Vrindavan, at that time, the gopis, they were greatly upset. And what happened is that millions of gopis appeared and they just blocked every exit from Vrindavan. So they closed all the holes. There was no question that Akrura could go. Then the gopis came with sticks and they beat the horses of the chariot. And the horses started to jump left and right and pull in different directions. So the chariot was rocking. Then they knocked down the driver with the sticks and he fell on the ground and they beat him also. After that, they grabbed Akrura. They just dragged Akrura down and they were hitting him with their bangles. Huh? And so as they were beating up Akrura, Krishna and Balaram stood there casually and watched it for a while. And then when Akrura got in real trouble, then Krishna said, don't beat Akrura. There is no need for that. We will be back. We will be back before sunset. So in this way, of course, before sunset, Krishna is very tricky. He didn't say which sunset, isn't it? Yeah. So he'll be back before sunset. Yes, and so the gopis stopped beating Akrura, who just scrambled back on his feet and he climbed the chariot and somehow or other drove off. And then, a bit later, they came to the Yamuna, and I don't know if it was because Akrura was all dusty and had been rolling in the dirt, or for whatever reason, but Akrura wanted to take a bath. So when Akrura went to take a bath, he went into the river, and in the river he saw Krishna and Balaram. And then it is described in the Garga Samhita that what happened is Balaram took the form of Ananta Shesh. And as he was there at Ananta Shesh, he sat cross-legged, and on his lap, all of Vrindavan was there. And it said in that Vrindavan, there was Govardhan, there was the Yamuna, everything was present, and even Krishna performed a rasa dance with the gopis on the lap of Ananta. So in this way, Ananta was serving Krishna. And this is the nature of Ananta Balaram. Lord Ananta Balaram, he is always serving Krishna. As Ananta, he has many, many mouths. And he is always glorifying Krishna from these many, many mouths. It is mentioned by Baladevi Jabusan that the mouth of Anantadev is the jewel case for the glorification of Krishna. In other words, if we want to glorify Krishna, or Balaram for that matter, who is non-different from Krishna, we depend on Anantadev. It is only by the mercy of Ananta that we can glorify Krishna, or for that matter, that we can chant Hare Krishna. Who can chant Hare Krishna? Only those who have prayed to Lord Ananta. That is the nature of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this dependence on Lord Baladev for our inspiration. What is strength? Strength is inspiration. And strength and inspiration is related to faith. That we have faith and that we believe that Sada Sabda Vishwaskaya Sudrida Nischaya Krishna Bhakti Koila Sarva Karma Krita Hoy, that from devotional service all benefits Sarva Karma Krita, all benefits of work in devotional service will be attained. Sarva karma krita hai. That is the nature of things. So we are like that, fortunate to have that faith to somehow or other. Lord Balaram gives us inspiration. How many times are we feeling weak in spiritual life due to a lack of inspiration? And how do we remain always inspired? By taking up devotional service and assisting Lord Balaram, who is always engaged in devotional service. Such devotional service can be of a different nature. We're seeing that Lord Balaram provides for Krishna so that he can perform his eternal pleasure pastimes. So one can serve Krishna and make arrangements for eternal pleasure pastimes. For us in the material world, that means that we do so through the deity of the Lord. So we can make arrangements for the deity. We can dress the deity. We can offer a very nice foodstuffs to the deity. And by making the deity very, very, very nicely decorated, very beautiful, yes, in that way, we can become greatly, greatly inspired because we're assisting Lord Balaram. Then Lord Balaram gives us the taste. So Krishna gives us the good instructions, but Balaram gives us the taste. And without the taste, what can we do? Without the taste, we are not able to do very much. Srila Prabhupada explains that he says that everything depends on taste. Without taste, nothing moves. He explains that in the introduction to the Nectar of Devotion. So yes, we depend on taste, inspiration. So Balaram is that source of inspiration, and that is our strength. The more inspiration we have in spiritual life, the more we are strong. The deeper our faith, the deeper we are convinced that Krishna indeed is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Krishna indeed is the reservoir of pleasure, that really Krishna is the ultimate source of all happiness. And the more we are absorbed in Krishna, the more that inspiration will grow to greater and greater depth. So Balaram himself is the most blissful personality. He himself is always experiencing the strength of happiness. That's another way of translating Balaram, the one who has the strength of happiness and who gives the strength of happiness in spiritual life. Lord Balaram. So yes, we are very, very happy to serve in this way. Okay, one thing, my text jumped, hold on. So then in the next verse, Nochet pramatam asitindriya vachi sutta nidvutpatam visaya dasyusu niksipanti te dasyava sahaya sutam amum tamunde sansara kupa urumritya bhayaksipanti. So we see some of the Sanskrit words in this verse from the 7th canto, 15th chapter, text 46. We see pramatam. Pramata means mad, means completely mad by asat indriya, by being attached to the temporary senses, to the asat indriya. And it says the result is that one will fall under the influence, under the darkness of ignorance, into the deep well of sansara kupa. The sansara kupa is a well, and in the well of birth and death. So it is said, otherwise, if one does not take shelter of Achyuta and Baladev, then the senses, acting as the horses, and the intelligence, acting as the driver, both being prone to material contamination, inattentively bring the body, which acts as the chariot, to the path of sense gratification. When one is thus attracted again by the ropes of Visaya, eating, sleeping, mating, the horses and the chariot driver are thrown into the blinding dark well of material existence, and one is again put into the dangerous and extremely fearful situation of repeated birth and death. So Achyuta and Baladev are saving us from birth and death when we are on the path of following the instructions of Krishna. And simply, along with that, always endeavor to engage in devotional service. So to say it very simple, devotional service is the key. It is through devotional service that we can actually attain the mercy. So somehow or other, this is our business. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana. To engage always in devotional service. That is our business, and that will protect us from falling down again into the samsara kupa, into the dark well of the repeated cycle of birth and death. Srila Prabhupada is saying that the living entity must get strength from Nitai Gaur or Krishna Balaram. Without the mercy of Nitai Gaur, there is no way out of this dark well of ignorance. In this age, approaching Balaram means Nitai Gaur, and it means taking shelter of Sankirtan. And Sankirtan, of course, again, depends on taste. So by service and by assisting Lord Balaram, that taste will come, and then everything becomes possible. Then we take shelter of their lotus feet to chant. Ekanam vimse visati me vrisnissu prapya janmani Rama Krishna viti bhuvo Bhagavan aharat baram. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vishnu, the Yadu dynasty, and by so doing, he removed the burden of the world. Of course, in Bhagavatam it says, Iti cham sakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan swayam indrari vyakalam lukam mriyanti yuge yuge. When we're speaking about these 19th and 20th incarnation of the Lord, these are not just incarnations of the Lord or appearances of the Lord. These two are the Supreme Personality of Godheads themselves, who appear once in a day of Brahma, and who once in this day of Brahma appear in this material world, and then perform their pastimes, play as children in Vrindavan, sliding in the mud, holding on to calves, and these kind of things. There are, and performing many pastimes and encountering many demons, because particularly Krishna has been identified as the child of Devaki. Please keep your phones on or devices on mute. Just look at the bottom of the screen and left side and turn it on mute. So the Krishna is suspected to be the son of Vasudeva. Although Krishna is hidden in Vrindavan, and although it appears that Krishna is the son of Nanda and Yasoda, it's quite clear that he is suspected. So so many demons are coming to Vrindavan, and the first one is Putana, and Putana, who represents the false guru, and Putana is being killed by Krishna when he's only 3 months old. And when Putana sees this child, she looks at him and thinks, this child is so powerful, he can destroy the entire universe. But anyway, then she tries to kill him by the poison smeared on her breast, which was not so successful, as we know, because poison means nothing to Krishna. And he drank the poison, he drank her milk also and accepted the offering, and he also drank her life air, and Putana was no more. Anyway, Balaram, of course, also has killed some demons. And first of all, Dhenukasura, the ass demon, was living in Talavan. And one day, the cowherd boys were roaming around in Vrindavan, and then they all smelled the sweet smell coming from the tal forest. But that was not a place where one could go. And they smelled these sweet fruits, and they said to Krishna, oh, we're so hungry. Oh, we are so hungry. We have to eat something. Krishna said, well, I mean, we'll have to wait a while. But they said, if only we could have some of these tal fruits. So then they decided to go there. Although it was known that this was a forbidden place. From other sources, we hear that this was an orchard of Kamsa, and that Dhenukasura and his associates were guarding this forest. And anyway, they went there to get some of the tal fruit. And sure enough, it was Balaram who took action, because Balaram is very strong. So Balaram was shaking a tal tree. And as Balaram was shaking the tree, the fruits were falling down, and the cowherd boys, they quickly picked up some of these fruits. And then what happened next was that this demon, Dhenukasura, and the ass demon, right, appeared. And this ass demon also had big fangs, like these kind of Dracula teeth. Right? So he was certainly a kind of fearsome ass. And Dhenukasura then came storming at Balaram, who still stood next to the tree. And it was clear that it was Balaram who had shaken the tree. So Dhenukasura went straight for Balaram. And he ran up to him, and then just in front of him, turned around and kicked with his hind legs. And Balaram very easily and quickly caught him by his hind legs, picked him up and swirled him around, and then threw him up into the tal tree, and with so much force that the tree fell over and knocked over some other tree as well. And Dhenukasura gave up his body like that. Now, Dhenukasura is symbolic for an ass. An ass is carrying a large burden. It is an animal that carries a burden. So Dhenukasura represents the person who carries the burden of material accumulation. Someone who accumulates so many material things and carry this burden on the back. And that is really the issue. That because of such a big material burden, Dhenukasura was not able to appreciate who Krishna was. Naham prakasa sarvasa yogamaya samavritaha. I cover myself with my illusory energy. So those who are turning to the Visai, to the material energy, and are accumulating so many material things, they become caught by these material things. Because the material objects, they are capturing our consciousness and steal it away from Krishna. Just as all these material things are not only carried on the back, but they're carried in the consciousness. So Dhenukasura was one who carried a great burden in his consciousness by being focused on so many material things, and as a result, Dhenukasura was not able to recognize Krishna or appreciate Krishna, and he was not able to surrender unto Krishna, and as a result, Dhenukasura saw Krishna and Balaram as a great problem. So let's read a little bit. According to the Garga Samhita, in his previous life, he was a son of Bali Maharaj named Sahasika. He offended Durvasa Muni by disturbing him when the Muni was meditating, by making a lot of noise while he was enjoying with 10,000 women on Mount Gandhamada. Durvasa cursed him to become an ass, saying, "Fool, ass-like person, become an ass. O demon, after 400,000 years in transcendental circle of Mathura, in Mathura Mandal, in the sacred forest of Talavan, you will attain liberation by Lord Balaram's hand." He could not be killed by Krishna because he had given his word to Prahlad Maharaj that he would not kill any of his family members. Okay. Some special consideration regarding the demons killed by Lord Balaram. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are 2 demons killed by Sri Baladev, but the contamination they represent will have to be removed by the dint of the devotee's own endeavors. This is the one secret of the mysteries of Raja Bhakti. Now, so there are more than 2 demons killed. We know that, and we discussed yesterday and leading up to this. But in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says only 2. So 2 particularly are relevant for us. And Dvivida the gorilla is not mentioned as in the same category. But 2 demons are mentioned that these things we have to remove ourselves. I discussed this morning already about Pralambasura, but I'll begin now with Dhenukasura. And so Dhenukasura, he represents an anartha that will block us from taking up Krishna consciousness. So are these two things that we have to somehow or other give up. We have to give them up. We have to give up material life and expanding our influence in the material world and just collecting more and more material items, because all the items will obsess us or possess us, hound us like ghosts. It is said that jnana and karma are like ghosts, or pichasi, like 2 witches that will possess us. So all these material things will possess our consciousness, and as a result, we will not be able to turn to Krishna. Therefore, we just become detached, but not, of course, Rupa Goswami explains, Dear Bandha, Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagya Uchate, not by giving them up, but by using them for a different purpose. Karmani evadikaraste mafalesu kadachana karmafala hetubur maste sangasta karmani. That we just use things, right, in the service of Krishna. And then all the material things become purified. And although these same material things would bind us in the material world, now these material things can elevate us and lift us above material existence. So therefore, that we have to give up. So, whereas Balaram is represented by the spiritual master. Right? So, by taking shelter of a spiritual master, we're taking shelter of Balaram. And we're actually at that point giving up this running after the Visai, running after the sense objects. At that stage, when we take shelter of a spiritual master, we're actually ending our material entanglement with the material energy. So in this way, we can rise above. Yes. So this place, Talvan, was certainly a difficult place to be. No one in the Krishna book, it says that it's very difficult to go to this Talavan. No one can reach the trees to collect the fruits. The cowherd boys speak. Dear Krishna Balaram, this demon is present there in the form of an ass, and he's surrounded by similar demon friends who assume the same shape. All of them are very strong, so it's very difficult to approach this place. Dear brothers, you are the only persons who can kill such demons. Other than you, no one can go there for fear of being killed. Not even animals go there. No birds are sleeping there. They've all left. One can only appreciate the sweet aroma that is coming from that place. It appears that up until now, no one has tasted the sweet fruits there, either on the tree or on the ground. Dear Krishna, to tell you frankly, we are very attracted by this sweet aroma. Dear Balaram, let us all go there and enjoy these fruits. The aroma of the fruits is now spread everywhere. Don't you smell it from here? When Balaram and Krishna were thus petitioned by their smiling intimate friends, they were inclined to please them, and they began to proceed toward the forest, surrounded by all. Their friends, immediately upon entering the Talvan, Balaram began to yank the trees with his arms, exhibiting the strength of an elephant. Because of his jerking, all the ripe fruits fell down on the ground. Upon hearing the sound of the fallen fruits, the demon Dhenukasura was living there in the form of an ass, began to approach with great force, shaking the whole field so that all the trees began to move as if there were an earthquake. The demon appeared first before Balaram and began to kick his chest with his hind legs. At first, Balaram did not say anything, but the demon with great anger began to kick him again more vehemently. This time, Balaram immediately caught hold of the legs of the ass with one hand and wheeling him around, threw him in the treetops. While he was being wheeled around by Balaram, the demon lost his life. Balaram threw the demon into the biggest palm tree about, and the demon's body was so heavy that the palm tree fell upon other trees, and several fell down. It appeared as if a great hurricane had passed through the forest, and all the trees were falling down one after another. This exhibition of extraordinary strength is not astonishing, because Balaram is the personality of Godhead known as Ananta Sesa Nag, who's holding all the planets on the hoods of his millions of heads. He maintains the whole cosmic manifestation, exactly as two threads hold the weaving of a cloth. Yes, this is also interesting that Balaram is holding all the universes on his heads. We see that the universes then cluster together, and Balaram, in the form of Ananta, holds these clusters. He upholds them on his hoods. So as we heard before, in the form of Ananta, Lord Baladev was holding the spiritual world on his lap, and he was holding Goloka on his lap, and there was Govardhan, and there all these things were present. Yes, and so we saw the whole spiritual world was present on Balaram's lap, and the pastimes of the spiritual world are present on Balaram's lap, on Ananta's lap. And now we saw that the universes are on the hoods of Ananta. So that is also quite something. So this form of Ananta is very interesting because it is in that form that Balaram does so many things. As Ananta, he becomes the bed. And Balaram in this way is serving Krishna in various ways. After the demon was thrown into the trees, all the friends and associates of Danikasura immediately assembled. And attacked Balaram and Krishna with great force. They were determined to retaliate and avenge the death of their friends. But Krishna and Balaram began to catch each of the asses by the hind legs, exactly in the same way, and wheel them around. Thus they killed all of them by throwing them into the palm trees. Because of the dead bodies of the asses, there was a panoramic scene. It appeared as if clouds of various colors were assembled in the trees. Hearing of this great incident, the demigods from the higher planets began to shower flowers on Krishna and Balaram and began to beat their drums and offer devotional prayers. So how fortunate are these demigods that they can directly witness all these pastimes. How exalted are the demigods? How much can we appreciate these glorious demigods? How much can we actually understand that they are wonderful, great personalities? Yes, this is, and we can see the whole universe is filled with devotees. We can see that everywhere, on all kinds of levels, there are devotees of the Lord. And it is not at all what we usually think, a world full of ignorant people with just a few devotees, a handful of devotees, and all around us just people who are ignorant of Krishna and ignorant of Balaram and have no idea about spiritual life. No. There are the demigods, and the demigods, they are fully aware. And there are so many celestial beings in so many regions throughout the entire universe, and they're celebrating. Yamaraj is celebrating. We are reading in Chaitanya Bhagavat how Yamaraj is in ecstasy when he sees how Lord Nityananda Balaram is saving Jagai and Madai. Along with Lord Chaitanya. And then Yamaraj just falls in ecstasy in his chariot. He's unconscious. And then all the demigods go to that chariot where Yamaraj is lying unconscious, and all the demigods perform a great kirtan. And Yamaraj regains his consciousness by the ecstasy of this kirtan. And the whole universe is vibrating with the holy name of the Lord. And all this is going on, and we have no idea. Because we have been asses for such a long time, carrying so many material things, and as a result, so forgetful of Krishna, and so forgetful of what is really going on in the universe, that we think to ourselves, I know what's going on. Because an ass always thinks that he knows everything. I know everything. I know exactly what's going on here. And nobody's into Krishna, just a handful of people. But the truth is, the whole universe is worshipping Krishna and Balaram. And so the demigods are showering flowers, and they begin to beat their drums and celebrate and offer devotional prayers. So this is the first demon, Danikasura, who's carrying this burden on his back. of material life, and as a result became covered by ignorance. And now this living being, yes, now, but by surrendering to Balaram, one can become purified by surrendering to Guru. The next demon is Pralambasura. So according to the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, in his previous life, he was Sudarshan, one of the brothers of Suhotra, who became Bakasura. According to the Garga Samhita, he was Vijay, the son of a Gandharva king named Huhu. He was cursed by Kuvera to become a demon for stealing some flowers from one of his gardens. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, lusty attractions for the opposite sex, greed for money, the desire for sense gratification, inclination for increasing one's honor and false prestige, the desire for being worshipped. So this is all sex desire, gross sex desire and subtle sex desire, because it is said subtle sex desire is pratishta, is looking for honor and recognition. They say when it comes to lusty affairs, it's not only love, it's like, I love to be loved, right? I love to be loved. That is there. So this sex desire is very, very deep, because the sex desire is nourished. Turn your thing on mute, look at your computer and make it mute. So that sex desire is such that we want to, yes, we want to be the center. We want to be the center. We want to be loved. Oh yes. Just as, a small child, the center of the universe. Oh yes. Your mother, your dedicated servant. Oh yes. She will jump at anything you desire. Oh yes. That is us now, born in this world, in the arms of our mother, and then again later in the arms of our lover, and once again, I love to be loved. Oh yes. So in this way, illicit sex is the second greatest problem that we are facing. It is the second greatest obstacle, and it is nitya vairina. It is lust, and it is the eternal, all-devouring enemy in this world. So this eternal, all-devouring enemy, that is the biggest problem. And how do we deal with that? Right? Somehow or other. That is the question. That is the question. So, because lust is too difficult to deal with, because sex desire is just too strong, that is why we have Varna Ashram. We've heard that Varna Ashram is a system where people of different types of mind can take shelter, so that they can rise above the influence of the lower modes of material nature and can come to the mode of goodness. But the truth of the matter, it helps us to deal with sex life. Because it is that sex life that is our problem. Yeah? That is the difficulty. It is that sex life that binds us to the material body, binds us to the material world, and that again and again drives us forward. And it is that which covers us. Avritam jnaname tena yoginam nityavairina kamarupena kunteya duspurena nalena cha. That this sex life which burns like fire covers our knowledge of the Supreme Lord. And therefore we cannot recognize Krishna, therefore we cannot recognize devotional service. So in spiritual life, because we cannot just take up Krishna, all right, then Varna Ashram. And Varna Ashram will regulate your sex life. Huh? Whatever it is, brahmachari, a strict vow of celibacy, vanapras, or let's say grihast first, together with man and woman, yes, regulated sex life, dharma viruddha bhutte su kamusmi bharatar sabha, according to religious principles. Then vanaprast, digest, renounce and feel the pain of renunciation. Go into the forest and now suffer the pain of renunciation. Go through it and come out at the other side. Sannyas, yes. Take a strict vow, rigid vow. No intimate dealings with the opposite sex. In this way, everything is governed by sex life. And Varna Ashram lifts us above and regulates, and in this way gives us room to engage in devotional service. And so, as we engage in devotional service, we can rise above. Kalambasura, a strong personality, handsome, muscular, beautiful, a real powerful, muscular, macho type, just embodying the physical, full strength of masculine force. Yes. So this Pralambasura, killed by Balaram, Balaram, who had won the game. The group of Balaram had won the game, and the group of Krishna had lost the game. Pralambasura was on Krishna's side, so he had lost, and they had to carry the winners. So Pralambasura was carrying Krishna, Balaram, and then ran away and took a huge demoniac form, a dark form with copper hair, and he was killed by Balaram. Balaram smashed his head. Well, what to do? So in order to avoid the company of Krishna, Pralambasura carried Balaram far away. The demon was undoubtedly very strong and powerful, but he was carrying Balaram, who is compared to a mountain. Therefore, he began to feel the burden, and thus he assumed his real form. When he appeared in his real feature, he was decorated with a golden helmet and earrings, and looked like a cloud with lightning carrying to the moon. Balaram observed the demon's body expanding up to the limits of the cloud. The eyes dazzling like blazing fire, and his mouth flashing with sharpened teeth. At first, Balaram was surprised by the demon's appearance, and he began to wonder, how is it that all of a sudden this carrier has changed in every way? But with a clear mind, he could quickly understand that he was being carried away from his friends by a demon who intended to kill him. Immediately, he struck the head of the demon with his strong fist, just as the king of the heavenly planets strikes a mountain with his thunderbolt. Being stricken by the fist of Balaram, the demon fell down dead, just as a snake with a smashed head, and blood poured from his mouth. When the demon fell, one second. When the demon fell, he made a tremendous sound, and it sounded as if a great hill were falling upon being struck by the thunderbolt of Indra. All the boys then rushed to the spot, being astonished by the ghastly scene, they began to praise Balaram with the words, "Well done, well done." All of them then began to embrace Balaram with great affection, thinking that he had returned from death, and they offered their blessings and congratulations. All the demigods in the heavenly planets became very satisfied and showered flowers on the transcendental body of Balaram, and they also offered their blessings and congratulations for his having killed the great demon Pralambasura. So in this way, we see these two major things that we have to conquer. We have to conquer our gross materialistic tendencies to just collect sense objects, and we have to rise above illicit sex. And there is a system to help us through Varna Ashram, but we need to take shelter of that, so that somehow or other we can carry on and take advantage of Jnana Sim Achyutabala, that we can take advantage of transcendental knowledge, and in this way that we can actually serve Krishna. That is needed. So these two obstacles, as Bhaktivinoda explained, those we have to voluntarily give up. And therefore we see, Srila Prabhupada basically asks for 4 regulative principles, asks us to give up sinful activities, and to take up and to engage in devotional service. So, and Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairaki Uchate, not giving up material things, but using them for Krishna. And of course, the tendency, once you take up Krishna consciousness, then automatically some renunciation sets in, because Bhakti Parishana Bhava Virakti Anyata Chaisa Trike Ikakala Prabhadamana Sharyata Sadashus Tusti Pusti Ksut Apaya Nugasam, which means that bhakti is just like eating. That it is like, as we're eating, we get full. And when we're full, even with the tastiest of tastiest, a pizza with fresh mozzarella and nice, and French fries and very delicious salata with olives and all kinds of tasty things. And at the end, lovely ice cream. And I am in Belgium with wafers, with these Brussels wafers with ice cream. Oh, very tasty. All that, when we are full, we say, oh, take it away. Man, I don't want any. Little ice cream. It just goes in between the cracks. No, I cannot eat anything more. Just a bit. It slides down. No problem. I know you are full. You cannot eat anymore. But ice cream, it's okay. It doesn't take any extra place. It just finds the little cracks are still there. So have a bowl of ice cream. Yes. I think for Balaram. So in this way, oh yes, we are certainly tempted, but at one point, even that, no, it's not possible. I am full. When we are full, so when we are filled with bhakti, then automatically detachment will come. And then lust and greed will disappear. So in this way, by overcoming lust and greed, we can rise above the material energy, and then anger. Galaxy 810 is on. Check that you are mute, because I see a Galaxy 810 that is not on mute. And I hear, but I don't know how I can tell you who are you, because you are Galaxy 810. No, they don't realize. Anyway, what to do? So we are in this way overcoming these two things. One name of Lord Balaram is Halodara Rupa. He has been known as in the dust.
Maharaj, you muted your phone, your own microphone. We can't hear you anymore.
I didn't do that. It is the organizer who's doing things. He tried to mute one person and then he muted me also. So now I'm doing it again. Thank you. Oh, organizer, don't mute everybody because then you mute me also. Vahasiva pusi visadeva sanam jaladabam halahati vitiminita yamunabam kesavadrita haladara rupa jai jagadisa hare jai jagadisa hare jai jagadisa hare kesavadrita haladara rupa Jai Jagadisa Hare, Jai Jagadisa Hare, Jai Jagadisa Hare. O Kesava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of plow-wielding Balaram, all glories to you. Oh, on your brilliant white body you wear garments, colored like a fresh rain cloud, and the river Yamuna, whom you frighten with the blows of your plow. Oh, yes. So Balaram is like this. He is Halodar. He is the holder of the plow, the wielder of the plow, it says here. The plow is more than just a tool. Of course, Balaram uses the plow, prepares the ground. And as he prepares the ground of our heart, then Krishna can plant transcendental knowledge, which can then fructify. That is one way of how the plow may be seen. And then, of course, Balaram likes, because he is a Kshatriya after all and has that Kshatriya spirit, so he likes to use the plow as a weapon and smash people with it. That is one, especially those who are on the demoniac side, not innocent persons, but those who are demoniac. What to do? Balaram is doing so, and we know plenty of cases where Balaram used his plow. He is Halodar. One way, although he didn't always kill, he also used the plow as a tool. We know that in the case, in the 9th canto of the Shrimad Bhagavatam, there is a reference to the king Kukutmi. And it is said Kukutmi was the son of Raivata, of the king Raivata. And Kukutmi had a daughter who was named after her grandfather, and she became Revati. And then Kukutmi went to Balaram, to Lord Brahma, to inquire about a suitable candidate for marriage. Unfortunately, it was very difficult because she was very qualified. Anyway, when Kukutmi came, then there was just some musical recital with dance going on, and Kukutmi had to wait. And as a result of that waiting, after some time, Lord Brahma spoke to him. But because the planet of Lord Brahma is on a different time cycle than where we are, in one day of Brahma is 1,000 Divya Yugas. So 27 Divya Yugas had already passed. And by the time that Lord Brahma actually answered him and explained that actually Balaram would be a suitable husband for Revati. All right, well, Kukutmi liked that, so he took his daughter back, but when they came back, everybody that they knew had died. everyone, because all these yugas had passed, so everything was gone. The whole family was wiped out. But anyway, no problem. They did find Balaram, but there was one complication, and that was because she was from a different yuga. She was a different size. She was a lot taller. She was about 5-6 meters tall. So, you know, sometimes men feel a little bit embarrassed marrying a lady who's taller than them. It sort of hurts the male ego. And Balaram wasn't ready. Balaram wasn't ready to marry a girl of 5-6 meters tall. But anyhow, he solved the problem, as we all know. With his plow, he pulled her down and brought her to a proper size. So that they became a perfect couple. So in this way, Balaram made the necessary adjustments. What else can I say? I can only say that Lord Balaram is an ocean of mercy. After telling all these things, and for the third time today, and also once yesterday, and not all the same, but some things the same naturally. I'm getting tired now. So some speakers like Radhanath Maharaj and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and also Gaur Govinda Maharaj are very powerful. They could speak for hours and hours. I usually, after 1.5, sort of slowly feel the energy waning, and then I need a little break. And I'm going to take that break because I'm also on for a kirtan in Radhadesh in about an hour. So I think I should sort of start slowing down. We are looking at Lord Balaram as the as Adi Guru, the original servant. We are following in his footsteps, trying to serve Krishna as a menial servant, and also providing everything for his mission, whatever that mission is. We saw Balaram when it was in the spiritual world, he provides the spiritual world. When it's in the material world, he carries the material universes on his head. And in this way, Balaram is the Sandhini Shakti. He is the existence potency. He provides the existence of everything for Krishna. Yes, I'm going to tell you how you can join the kirtan after. So Balaram, in this way, is providing everything for Krishna, whatever Krishna needs. And that is what it means to be a servant. One can come as a servant and say, is there anything I can do for you? And say, no, not right now. Okay, well, then I'll go again. No. The actual way to be a servant is to simply see. The example of the perfect servant is the servant of Lord Chaitanya, Govinda. And Govinda was so expert in serving Lord Chaitanya that Govinda, he didn't need to even be told what to do. He was seeing what needed to be done and automatically making all the arrangements. So Govinda was just taking care. For example, I was this morning, was here, and then someone wanted to talk to me, and I just said that they could come and talk. Then someone else just came in between, so I told the original person, just wait a minute. Now, that's actually the job of the servant, right? The servant would see, oh, there's 2 people at the same time. Then he'll see which one the Swami chooses, and then he pacifies the others and says, just sit down for a moment. Yes, be comfortable, engage them in a conversation, keep them sweet, and they chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And in this way, the servant just sees what needs to be done. The servant is a lot more than someone who's just can you bring a cup of, veggie juice? Oh, yes, I bring now. Okay, can you wash the empty cup? No, there's a lot more than bringing cups, washing cups. It means making all the necessary arrangements. And Balaram is making all the necessary arrangements. All the necessary arrangements for Krishna's pastimes. And this is the example of Balaram. And this is what it means to be a servant. And so, from Balaram, we are learning to be a servant. And the servant of a servant, for that matters. And that was it. So I'll take some questions, but I'm not going to tell a lot more stories. So please don't ask me, please tell the story of this. Can you tell the story of that? The answer is no. I won't tell any more stories like that because I get too tired. So, but a question or two I can try to answer. Hare Krishna. So if you have a question, you can let us know. I'll look at the chat, see if you already have something. There are some. Is there any special reason why Mother Rohini was so fortunate to be both part of the Vrindavan pastimes and Mathura, Dwarka pastimes? The why question you cannot ask, right? Because really, it is simply Krishna's desire. Krishna desired that she was in this role of the mother of Lord Balaram. And because Balaram is in both the pastimes, then Rohini automatically was also as the mother of Balaram. So that was her good fortune, being connected with Balaram. And Balaram is in both. So Rohini could also be in both. Well, that's just the mercy of Lord Balaram. Okay, what else is there in these? Then from Franca, how can I in my daily activities better find out how to satisfy Krishna's senses? I'm often unsure. Well, there are two ways to satisfy Krishna. And one way is to serve in a general way. And the other way is to serve in a personal way. In a personal way, if Krishna says, I want a glass of milk, or if Krishna's guru, if the guru, the representative of Krishna says, I want a glass of milk, then we have a specific instruction. It's milk, right? All right, we're bringing milk. And if we serve in a general way, then we can offer anything we like. We can offer juice, we can offer tea, we can offer flavored water, or sprudel, or whatever we can think of in order to, whatever is vegetarian, we just please Krishna that way, right? Sprudel translate in good American as fizzy pop. Yeah. So whatever it is, we can use all these things, and in that way we can please Krishna. So when we don't have a specific way that we to serve Krishna in, then we just go to the general way of serving Krishna. And we know, which is we make offerings to Krishna, we chant his name, we are keeping things clean for Krishna, we are discussing with devotees about Krishna, we are associating with devotees. So these are all the general things. Just like we know, today it's Balaram's appearance day, and we are meant on this day to spend our day hearing about Balaram, speaking about Balaram, remembering Balaram, doing some service for Balaram, cooking for Balaram, decorating Balaram on the altar, putting pictures of Balaram on our altar. I have a couple today on my altar. And, you know, and somehow or other, get into it, right? Like, put Balaram in the foreground today and offer things to him, glorifying him. So that is general seva. That is what we do. Soon it will be Janmashtami, and then it's Krishna's turn. And then we will just spend the whole day glorifying Krishna, singing for Krishna, dancing for Krishna, doing some play for Krishna, you know, or some Bharatnatyam. My favorite, you know, Bharatnatyam. I love it, especially the music. Can't get enough of it. What shall I say? Yeah, so in this way, all general service, and then there's specific service. So yeah, specific service, sometimes you get a special instruction. Like someone may give you the instruction, you know, go to New York, and then you have to go. But if you cannot, what can you do? Then you have to Zoom to New York. What to do? And so right now, many things we cannot. But anyhow, just like Prabhupada received the instruction of his spiritual master to go and preach in the English language, and that meant, Prabhupada knew it, that meant to preach in the Western world. And but Prabhupada couldn't really immediately take it up because he was busy just maintaining his family, and you know, he couldn't just drop everything. So he had to wait for an opportune time to execute that instruction. But that was a specific instruction. So general instruction we already have. So we can't say, I didn't get an instruction. No, we have the general instruction, and the specific instruction sometimes we will get. Okay. Then I see a question. Where's that question? When I'm inspired and got higher taste and happy, I also have a niggling doubt. Am I doing really good, or am I in comfort zone? Well, this is Guru Das from the UK. Well, Guru Das, it's okay. We may not yet be completely free from doubt. It's not possible. Because only when we are in the topmost state of love of God can we be free from doubt. So in the earlier stages of Krishna consciousness, even when we are inspired, there will be some doubt, because we will still not be fulfilled. And only when we are fulfilled are we free from doubt. That doubt is simply still the influence of Maya. It's because we're still under the influence of Maya, there is still a sense of doubt. And only in Krishna Prem is the full influence of Maya disappeared. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, even in Bhava, there is still a shadow of Maya, still a hint of something is lacking. A hint of suffering is still there in Bhava. Right? Although there's ecstasy in the background, there's still a little suffering. Therefore, there's still a little something that ought not be there. Right? In Prem, it's full. So, since we are not yet there in Krishna Prem, then it will take some more time. But these doubts, these are just the crickets, you know. Like if you go to Southern Europe, then you always hear these crickets. right? And sometimes in the evening it can be very loud, very loud. You sit in Italy and it's getting like darker, and it's like, my God, they're having a symphony, you know, really loud. And yeah, so this is the background music, you know. So maybe there is still some background music of material things, but that background music, ignore it. Ignore it. Just act as if it's not there. Just look at the inspiration and build on it. Build on the inspiration and take it further. Okay. So you mentioned that Lord Balaram is an ocean of mercy. In Guru Vastakam verse 1, it's stated that the spiritual masters receive a benediction from the ocean of mercy. I just wish to thank you for sharing this mercy with all of us. Thank you. Radha Vinod. Yeah, that is a nice comment. This spiritual master is like a rain cloud. Yeah. Ganatvam, he is a rain cloud. And he's raining down mercy. And the rain cloud gets its water from the ocean, after all. And in that way, it is the ocean of mercy. And the spiritual master is the representative of that ocean of mercy. And Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is the ocean of mercy. When Krishna and Balaram went to Sandipani Muni, it is also described that Sandipani Muni was the guru of Krishna and Balaram, but how can he be the teacher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So it's said in the same way, from the ocean of mercy, which was also the ocean of knowledge, that knowledge came in the form of rain clouds. These rain clouds, they got stuck on the mountain of Sandipani Muni. Then it rained, and then the water came down as rivers and spread everywhere. And in this way, Sandipani Muni had received the mercy and the knowledge of Krishna, and then was able to pass on this knowledge. So that is spiritual master. Therefore, it is said the spiritual master is just a postman. He's not carrying anything of his own. He's just delivering a message. And he cannot change it, right? Cannot alter it. And he just can present a message, and that's it. So with this, I am very happy that I could spend a little time with you in Berlin. Hare Krishna. Thank you, oh dear MC. I haven't seen you for so long that I don't know your current name.
Karuna Shakti Das.
Can you say it again?
Karuna Shakti Das.
Oh, Karuna Shakti Das. Thank you very much, and it is very nice. Congratulations. Ravinda Sarup, I heard. That is also very nice. So this is wonderful. Yes, thank you for organizing this. I hope you have a wonderful day with Lord Balaram, a further celebration. I am taking a little break, but in about 40 minutes, I'll start a kirtan in Radhadesh, and it will be on, as usual, as everything in Radhadesh, on Mayapur TV. Google Mayapur TV, and you'll see Radhadesh. Click on Radhadesh, and that's where it will be, I guess. If it's not there, because sometimes there's a little confusion, then it would be on the Radhadesh Facebook page. So I'm not 100% sure if it will be on the Facebook page or on Mayapur TV, but it's one of the two. ISKCON Radhadesh Facebook page or Mayapur TV in 6:15 Belgian time. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for being with us. And thank you to all the devotees who have joined in for this Zoom conference. Hare Krishna.
Jai Balaram.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. Radhadesh Facebook page, they say. Okay. Evening Kirtan Facebook page. Okay, Radhadesh Facebook page.
Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Bye.